1944 on the English Channel coast of Norman, France. General Dwight D. Eisenhower has turned loose the mightiest armada of ships and men ever mounted in history to storm the fortified bastion of Hitler's Europe. Now they are coming in, soldiers of the First Division, to attack this beach called Omaha. Bloody Omaha. Worst of the 5 invasion beaches.
Roars an aerial fleet of nearly 500 4-engine bombers. Their 1,300 tons of explosives are dropping not on the German beach defenses, but inland, miles from Omaha. The Navy joins the cannonade. Battleships, heavy cruisers, destroyers, hurling their tons of martial death toward the strong point. Thousands of rockets arch overhead from a battery of 9 rocket ships. Tanks and field guns aboard the larger landing craft open fire.
Sound and fury bob the little snout-nosed landing barges, breasting 4-foot waves, carrying the infantry to their rendezvous with history. And still the German guns are silent, waiting behind 15-foot thick concrete walls, untouched by the bombardment.
It is 6:30 a.m. Each hour, the moment of attack, and the full blazing might of German firepower burst into flames, smashing into boats and men at the water's edge. Riflemen flounder down the landing ramps into deep water. Some jump over the side to escape the merciless rattle of machine gun bullets. From
12 German strong points, more than 60 artillery pieces rake the beach with high explosives. Rockets and mortar shells explode among men and boats. Ahead of them lies a lethal jungle of steel obstacles and barbed wire covering 300 yards of flat beach before they can reach a ridge of stones, their first cover. This is the first assault wave of the 16th Infantry Regiment, spearhead of the 1st Division. For this attack, the division commander, Major General C.R. Hubner, has been given a force of 34,000 men, including the 29th Division and the Rangers, to cover the 5-mile crescent of bloody Omaha.
But now it's up to the riflemen and the Army and the Navy engineers. The engineers are to blow up the maze of obstacles, blasting lanes through which ships can beach when the tide runs full. But the engineers were landed late, and the Germans are picking them off like flies.
Chaos and disaster are here. 32 amphibious tanks were to have swum ashore with the 16th at H hour. Almost all foundered in the heavy seas. 2 made it, and a few more were landed by ship. Little help to the infantry. The beach flats are a death trap. Those who survive the fire-swept sands reach the ridge of shingles. No one is in the right place. A strong lateral current, smoke and haze, and faulty navigation combine to shift most units too far east. Some miss their targets by 2 miles.
German shells pour into the Americans, riddling ships and men. The second wave hits the beach at 7 o'clock, and it is still chaos. The third and the fourth waves come in, piling up on the others. Westward, in the distance, the 116th Infantry of the 29th Division is meeting the same fate. Hundreds of their men mislanded, mixed up with companies of the 16th Infantry in the foreground. Nudging each other gently, the dead wash back and forth in the surf. Along the ridge of shingles, some protection from Germans on the heights, Men lie squashed together, the living and the wounded. Some, emerging from the shock of battle, are firing their weapons.
The engineers were to have blasted 16 lanes through the beach obstacles. In that first half hour, they lost almost half their men and explosives and cleared only 6 gaps for the landing craft. Jammed below the shingle near the high water mark are jeeps, half-tracks, overturned bulldozers, all the wreckage of war, and the tide is rising, 8 feet an hour. 2 German divisions, and not one as the Americans thought, were waiting for the assault. Their guns beat a deadly tattoo from pillbox and trench, drenching the riflemen, battering the ships milling about outside like a herd of stampeding cattle, trying to find a way to the beach. And on the beach, there are men of courage and skill, able to think and act in this inferno of combat. Here and there, by squads or platoons, they blast gaps in the rolls of wire above the shingles, break through the minefields, try for the deadly pillboxes.
Assistant Division Commander of the 1st is there, further west along the beach. Here in the foreground, with the 16th as their commander, Colonel George A. Taylor, trying to bring order out of chaos. Captain Joseph P. Dawson, Company G, reached a little draw between 2 heavily defended valleys. Slithering up the slope, Dawson knocked out a machine gun nest with hand grenades, and his company followed, clearing away to the bluff crest.
This was the first breach. Others followed up Dawson's draw, reaching the bluff top to attack strong points from the rear, for they still smashed the full weight of their fury along the entire beach.
As Colonel Taylor gathered his few tanks for another assault on the pillbox, guarding an important beach exit in the foreground, an American naval destroyer, a little old tin can, swept in close to shore, her keel dragging sand. Like a sharpshooter in a penny arcade, her 5 inches split the gun ports of the German pillbox.
Planned to crush the invasion at the water's edge. He came close, but he failed. By noon, we were working up the valleys, breaking our way off the beach, even though it was still under fire from batteries to the south. By nightfall, the 1st Division was a mile and a half inland with a toehold that meant victory for the Allies and death to Hitler. But bloody Omaha had exacted its toll. More than 3,000 Americans fell there that D-Day. For those living and dead of the Big Red One who called on that final stubborn reserve of human courage to conquer Omaha, it is enough to know that they were men of more than ordinary moral strength.